Okay, well, we had a nice tasting last night at Cafe Maxx. Well, Wednesday night. Sometimes we don't get these reviews out, immediately. But, we do this every other Wednesday. This is one of the best values of all the tastings we do. To be able to sit down, taste through 8 wines, and eat some of Oliver Saucy's food. It's not dinner, but by the end of the tasting, you need maybe an appetizer or an entree, and you're done for the rest of the night. And maybe a little bit more wine. If you're with our professional group of wine drinkers, you'll be able to drink a little bit more. We usually plan on about a half a bottle per person for a tasting. In a sit-down event, a bottle per person. So you do get quite a bit to drink at our wine events. You'll never leave thirsty or hungry, I can guarantee you that. All right, well, we had 8 different Cabernet Sauvignons. We had 1 from outside of Napa. When you talk about Cabernet Sauvignon in California, Napa Valley produces by far the most sought-after California Cabernets. Sonoma produces very good Cabernet Sauvignon. You just saw the email we sent out on Verite, the best wine made in Sonoma, in my opinion, made with Bordeaux varietals. And Mendocino, they make some nice Cabernets. Hey, we just reviewed one from Paso Robles that was pretty good. But really, if you look at the lion's share of the great Cabernets coming out of California, it's Napa Valley. That's why 7 of our 8 Cabernets were from Napa. The first wine up are one of the best values we've had in the store this year, the 2007 Robert Mondavi Napa. And yes, folks, the Mondavi that you find in Costco. What a great little wine. It got 90 points from Robert Parker. And hey, we've got a cheaper price than they do in Costco on this one. And some of this fruit comes from the historic Tocalan Vineyard, which is one of the most sought-after vineyards in Napa. When Mondavi went to buy his winery to seek out where he was going to put it, the very first thing he bought was that Tocalan vineyard, knowing, what a great vineyard site it was. And unfortunately, the family couldn't buy that vineyard after the Constellation took them over in 2004. They were thinking about buying back the original Oakville winery and that Tocalan, but didn't happen. But, this Mondavi 07, a really nice little Cabernet. Very forward, very fruity, a crowd pleaser style, but has some lovely complexity and nuance to the wine as well. And 07, a great vintage. One of the wines that wasn't well liked was the 75 last night. This wine just didn't fit in with the other Napa wines. It's from Mendocino, Andy Beckstoffer's new vineyard up there, Amber Knolls. And, the wine tasted a little sweet and didn't have the structure that the Napa Cabs had. But, this is one of our best-selling Cabernets we have in the store, the 2009. Maybe a little bit of a challenging vintage, but, just came off a little bit sweet and not quite as structured and balanced as the other wines. All right, the 08 Mount Veeder. This has been a great selling wine for us the last couple years. The 07, we had a stupid price, $20 a bottle. Well, this 08, we get another stupid price. Not quite as dumb, but $23 a bottle. And this is a wine that sells for $40 on the winery's website. And you'll find it discounted, in the high 20s in most places. We have got a phenomenal price on this. This wine needs a little bit of time. We opened it up. It was a little bit tannic at first, even though they've added like 5% Syrah to this wine. Still a big Cabernet Sauvignon. Classic Napa, little cedar, cigar box spice. And that, like I said, a little bit tannic. When first opened, needed a little bit of time to open up. This 08, another very good vintage from Napa. All right, the Raymond Rutherford, ever since Boisset's took over, they've changed everything to organic, biodynamic, and all of the properties they represent, and really have taken things up a notch. This is a new wine for them, the Rutherford appellation. You get a little bit of a dusty, kind of earthy character to Rutherford wines. This wine's $21.75. Outstanding juice, man. Really good currant and plum-like fruit on the nose. A nice hint of cigar box and fresh earth there. Classic Rutherford dust, firm tannins, and nice stuffing. Starting to mellow out a little bit. These 06s need a little bit of time to shed some of their tannins. All right, the Stag's Leap Artemis. This is a wine that was liked by about half the crew, and half the crew didn't like it. I think it was a little bit tannic and a little bit maybe over the top for some people. Had quite a bit of oak to that as well. Blackberries and currant berry fruit, some sweet dark chocolate, and still a little bit tannic, this 07 vintage. Most of the wine showing pretty evenly. This 07 Artemis, maybe a little bit on the tannic side last night, needed to open up a little bit. The 06 Flora Springs Trilogy. Man, for under $40, we are selling the heck out of Trilogy again. This is the wine that went up over $50, and, thank God for the recession if you're a wine drinker, because prices have come back to 20-year lows, in terms of Napa Valley Cabernets, what they were almost 20 years ago. This Trilogy had this lovely sweet tobacco spice, lovely black currant, espresso, dark chocolate, fairly complex bouquet, but no mistake in this wine for anything but a California Cabernet. Really rich, well endowed on the palate, and lovely smooth velvety tannin showing up. But again, this wine needs a little bit of time. This 06 vintage, really big. All right, the next wine, one of the wines of the night for me, the Antica. This is Piero Antinori's property up on Atlas Peak. And Renzo Cortarella is involved in the production, and really nice, complex, old world style Cabernet. Had some bell pepper notes, fresh earth, cigar box spice, and a variety of different clones of Cabernet going into this one. Lovely black plum and currant berry fruit, and really densely planted vineyard. You notice the concentration in this wine. This wine definitely being made in the vineyard here. Touch of dark cocoa and fresh herbs showing up on the finish here, but a big and chewy wine. This wine had lovely acidity and balance. A really nice and structured Cabernet Sauvignon. And we have a special price on this. It's regularly $60, $39. Wow. Okay, the Bell Tallinna for me. Those two wines are wine of the night, this last two. The Tallinna, well, Anthony Bell, we've done a number of events with him. This Tallinna's his two daughters' names, Tallinna, and it's a blend of 80% Cabernet Sauvignon, but not just any Cabernet Sauvignon, folks. Clone 6, an heirloom clone. Anthony Bell is famous for his research with Cabernet clones, and this is from the George's III vineyard that's owned by Andy Beckstoffer, and 20% of it is, these are the best barrels of Clone 6, by the way, and then 20% are best barrels of Syrah from Canterbury Vineyards. And Syrah being used a lot more in Cabernet, I think because it's hard to sell. It's easier to blend it in with something. In California, you can put up to 25% another varietal and not even state it on the label. But Anthony does put the blend right on the front label, and been a bit of hard to sell these high-end Cabernet Syrahs. This wine was supposed to be $100 a bottle. We got on sale for under $40, folks. It was supposed to be his top wine above the Clone 6, but like I said, just difficult to sell these high-end Cabernet Syrah blends. All right, folks, well, that's what I had to drink last night. I'm your host, Andrew Lamposoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.